Hi, this is Ishita Datta, a legal intern at Lexis & Company, and today I will be talking about the topic which is the Vishakha Guideline. In recent times, we have come across so many news regarding sexual assault and sexual crimes against women, and this makes us to turn and search for the legal remedies provided by various legislations like POSH Act, Indian Penal Code 1860, etc. It is very important for us to know such legislation, not because we get knowledge about them, but we can also create awareness among the public so that we shall protect and prevent our women from facing such embarrassing situations. So what is the history behind Vishakha Guidelines? So before the date of landmark judgment of the Vishakha case, all the victims who had faced sexual harassment can only seek remedy through the Indian Penal Code 1860, and this criminal remedy is available irrespective of the place of occurrence. In 1992, a rural development officer of the state of Rajasthan was brutally gang raped when she was actively working for the enhancement of women. This incident took place at her workplace, and this made the woman to fear for working with dignity. Hence, a PIL was filed before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and thus it paves the way for the birth of Vishakha Guidelines. So Vishakha Guidelines, so what is it about? In India, the court will give judgments as per the norms mentioned under the particular act. But in Vishakha case, there was no special legislations to punish the accused persons who was involved in harassing a woman sexually at the workplace. So due to the absence of special acts, the court relied upon the International Convention, which was the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and gave its remarkable judgment, including the most appreciable Vishakha Guidelines. The court had also emphasized that this Vishakha Guidelines will act as a law until the Parliament enacts a special legislation on sexual harassment of women at workplace. Since it might take some time, so what were the highlights of the Vishakha Guidelines? So first of all, it is mandatory to all the employers who are responsible person of all institutions and workplaces to adhere to the guidelines provided by the court to prevent the woman from sexual harassment at workplaces. So the court imposes a duty on all employers to take necessary steps to prevent the sexual harassment against women and to assist them in the procedures for the resolution and settlement and prosecution in the case of such commission. The court has also defined the meaning of sexual harassment in detail, which includes unwelcome sexually determined behavior such as a physical contact and advances, a demand or request for sexual favors or sexually colored remarks, or even showing pornography or any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. Therefore, if a victim has faced any of the above actions which are likely to affect the employment or the work of the victim, including a promotion, salary or increment, etc., and such actions can be humiliating and also consist of health and safety problems, the facts and circumstances must be taken into consideration, which while deciding if such options constitute sexual harassment or not, since it is a highly sensitive issue. So the employers also carry another important obligation that they should take necessary steps to prevent sexual harassment by notifying the prohibition of sexual harassment at workplace expressly through like circulars and posters along with the rules and regulations of the government. So with regard to the penalties to the offender, the private employers should include this prohibition in their standing orders as per the Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. The employer should also make that no woman employee shall feel that she has been disadvantaged in relation to her employment by providing comfortable work conditions and atmosphere. The employer should also help the victim in filing such cases against the offender under the Indian Penal Code 1860 or under any other appropriate law in force. And such victim, including the witnesses, should not be discriminated in the due course of time or proceedings against sexual harassment. He should also facilitate the transfer of an offender or the victim if needed. So if the concerned employment or institution has separate service rules with regard to misconduct, then the employer should initiate the disciplinary action against the offender who is involved in the sexual harassment. Every employer should create the complaint mechanism with time-bound treatment for such complaints made by the victim. Even though there is no law or service rule for such conducts, the court has also mentioned that the complaint mechanism should be headed by a complaint committee in which the head should be a woman. Not less than half of the committee members should be women, and it also should constitute 1/3 party to avoid the influence and pressure from the officials. The committee should maintain the secrecy and provide special counselor to support the victim, and the employers should also send the reports of such complaints committee to the concerned government department at regular intervals mentioned. The employee should also raise the sexual harassment issues in the employer-employee meetings and the workers' meetings or such other relative forum. The employers should create the awareness with regard to the rights of the female employees as mentioned in the guidelines, and also under the special act enacted later on this particular matter. The employer should also take necessary actions and preventive steps if his employee is sexually harassed by any outsider or third party which depicts the support and assistance of employers. The central and state government should ensure that all employers are complying with the guidelines laid down in the judgment by making the appropriate measures and legislation. So these guidelines will not only affect any rights available under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. So in conclusion, I would like to say that as mentioned earlier, all the employers were directed by the court to adhere to the norms and guidelines given in Vishakha guidelines judgment in order to prevent the sexual harassment against women at workplaces. By ensuring these guidelines, we can affirm that gender equality as well as other fundamental rights such as right to life and liberty, right to practice any profession or to carry out any occupation, trade or business with safe working environment. So these guidelines were in force till the date in which the fruit of this judgment came into force as a special legislation named as the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention or Prohibition Redressal Act 2013. Thank you so much.